going to be reading a story, and it's a biography. I'm going to say that word, and then I want you to repeat it after me. Biography.
Biography.
Okay, what is a biography? Because we have never read a biography before. So look up here, and I want you to listen to what a biography is. Don't turn your page, just look up here and listen, okay?
Biography. Cesar Chavez is a biography. A biography is the true story of a real person's life. It is written by another person.
Okay, so we are going to read the story called Cesar Chavez. And this story is a biography. So what does that mean? There's two things that it has to be, two elements, in order to be a biography. Lois, what does it have to be?
It's the true story of a real person.
Good job, go clip up. It's a true story. So this story is true, and it's about a real person's life. So this is not make-believe. It's true. What else does it have to be, Wyatt?
It's written by another person.
Yep, it's written by another person. Go clip up, Wyatt. So, somebody wrote this story about him. Cesar Chavez did not write this about his life, because you can write a story about your life. That's called an autobiography. This is a biography. This is about somebody else's life, okay? So we're going to learn a true story about Cesar Chavez. Okay, I'm going to go back to where you guys are at. And our inquiry question is, how can learning about the past help us? So as you can see, it looks like they're farmers. Looks like they're kind of different kind of farmers than what we are here. But let's learn and see how we have learned from them. Okay? We're going to start up here, 363. And Tyson, can I have you start really loud with who? Really loud, Tyson.
Who are you?
Your
Heroes. For many farms workers.
Cesar Chavez. Let's say that all together, right?
Cesar
Chavez. One more time.
Cesar Chavez.
That's a Spanish name, so it's kind of a hard name to say. Go ahead, Tyson.
Is a hero. He is the man who spends his life helping them.
Okay, so Tyson said he is a brave man who spent his life helping these people learn how to farm, or farm workers. Okay, now we're going to read about his childhood. So when he was a little child, I'm going to have Briley start really loud with Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez was
Born
in
Arizona.
Arizona.
His parents
His parents that
taught him
taught him about
learning,
learning how to work and
respect.
respect.
Okay, so his parents taught him about learning, hard work, and respect. Just the same things that your parents and Mrs. Murphy teach you. So where was he born?
Arizona.
Ingrid? Arizona. So the state down in the south, kind of by Texas. Lila, didn't you just go to Arizona not too long ago? So this is where that guy was born, in Arizona.
Arizona looks a lot different now.
It does.
Unless that's out.
And it could be a different part of Arizona
Deserts.
too. Okay, Raylan, would you continue with Cesar?
Cesar worked on the
Follow
family.
on, kiddos. Okay, just a second, Raylan. I see some friends aren't finger tracking. Make sure you're finger tracking. Okay, everybody put your finger on Cesar. Cesar. Okay, go ahead, Raylan.
Cesar worked on the family farm as a young boy. He helped care for the farm animals. His mother and grandmother taught Cesar about caring. Many people came to their door asking for food, and his kind family always shared.
Okay, so he worked on his family farm, just like some of you guys. I know some of you are working on your family farms. And many people would come to his door asking for food, and he would kindly share with them. Okay? Kaden, would you continue?
strong interest in
Education. Yep.
this
Desire.
desire to learn was sometimes hard on him. Spanish was his first language, but he needed to learn and study English at school. He was punished for speaking Spanish.
Good. So listen, guys. My friends had just come in. Interest means he really wanted to learn about education. Okay? He really wanted to learn about that. And sometimes this is hard because Spanish was his first language. So he taught Spanish mainly, but sometimes he taught English. Spoke English. And he studied English. But at school, he was punished for speaking Spanish.
But he shouldn't actually be punished.
He shouldn't be punished, right?
Even though that's his main
That's his
language.
main language, right?
He was born speaking
Right. So do you think he should have been punished?
No. That's mean.
Right. But back at that time, people that's just how things were. Good things have changed, but that's how.
Like white people and
Yes.
black people.
Just like that. Yeah. Okay. The last paragraph. Let's have Libby. Would you start with his mother?
His mother taught
Cesar.
Cesar to find
Peaceful.
ways to solve problems. These lessons helped him
Succeed.
later in life. He would win
Struggles.
without fighting.
You know what? Every time I read this story, this guy reminds me of another person that we know. Who? What do you guys think?
George Washington.
What? John.
Something that has no leg.
No. I'm thinking of a guy that helped, who didn't want fighting with hands.
King Jr.
Martin Luther King Jr. Remember? Is that what you're gonna say, Kaden? Because Martin Luther King Jr. wanted everybody to be treated equally and fair, just like this guy. And he would win struggles without even fighting. So without fighting with like hands or legs or any body parts, physically, he would use his words and he would talk. And he said peacefully, and that's what Martin Luther King Jr. also wanted. So he's very similar to Martin Luther King Jr. Okay. All right, so let's turn the page, let's learn about his hard times. All right, we're gonna start here. Lewis, I want you to read when Cesar was 10.
When Cesar was 10, it did not rain for a long time. This drought caused a plant on the farm to die without crops to sell. Cesar's family couldn't afford to keep the farm.
Okay, so when he was 10 years old. Now you guys are like, most of you are 7 or 8, right? 8, yeah. A lot of you are 8 already.
How old was he when he was right here?
You know what? It doesn't say. Just a second. Just a second, Brooklyn. It doesn't say Lila, so I would assume he's younger than 10, maybe on this page or 10. I know on this page though, we'll look at his life in just a minute. But it starts when things are getting hard, and that's when he's 10. So think you guys are 8. So in 2 more years, when like you're 4th graders. That's how old he was when there was a drought.
He was born in March 21.
There was a drought, which means it did not rain for a long time. Up here in Minnesota, we don't get droughts a lot, once in a great while. But sometimes in those states in the south where it's really hot and warm, they get droughts a lot. And this was tough because they would have their crops, they would plant them, they'd get no rain, and then what would happen to the crops?
They would die.
They would die. And then what happens if they wanted to go sell the crops to make money?
They couldn't.
They couldn't, right?
Because they were all dead.
Because they were all dead.
For us,
Right, right.
My
So their family, I'm not gonna write about it right now, but later, okay? Their family couldn't afford to keep the farm because they had no money to pay for the farm. Okay, so that's really sad. So let's see what happens now. We're gonna be, Brooklyn, we're on 364. And I'm gonna have Lila, would you start with then Cesar's family?
Then Cesar's family. Wait.
Yep.
When Cesar's. Wait, where do you want me to start?
Right here. Then Cesar, yep, I think you're in the right spot. Then Cesar's
Then
family.
Cesar's family moved to
California.
California, where there was no droughts. His family traveled from farm to farm and worked the crops.
Okay, now look back here. Oh, here. 1 second here.
It's kind of in the bottom.
So, here's Minnesota. This is Arizona. This is where the drought was. And so they couldn't keep their farm. So then they had to move. Do you see where California is?
Yeah.
Pretty close. Pretty close. They
It's
just,
like their brother.
yeah, they're
But
right.
they had to kind of go, like if they were probably living like right here, they would have to go all
Yes.
the way.
Yeah.
Even if they had to go way up
Right.
here, if they were down here, they would have to go all the way up
Yeah.
here.
So
Even when we drove to Florida, it took a super long time.
Yeah.
to get
California is kind of the
Atlantic Ocean is huge.
California is kind of the big state, so but they're right next to each other, so they didn't have to go too far. My friend's coming in from Mrs. Alms. Grab a book.
It's
364.
Why look at seen Tyson in Florida?
They could have.
I've seen Maine.
Is there enough books, guys?
No.
Are you
I see.
here?
I see
Carson, Miss Murphy, you can use my
I
book.
see Washington.
I see Florida.
Hey, don't bend the book.
Okay. Okay, look up here, guys. We're gonna start 380 or 364. Lila just read this paragraph. Now I'm gonna have Addie read really loud the next one that starts with Cesar and his family. So I want everybody finger tracking.
Cesar and his family would quickly discover that
The migrant.
migrant farm workers had difficult lives. Their challenging jobs forced them to work long hours for little money. The workers then over all day trading the
Oh,
crops.
tending.
Tending the crops. The work they had to perform made their backs hurt and their fingers bleed.
John, play along.
If workers complain, farm owners fired them.
Okay, so listen. If you look back at Arizona and California on the map, that is the United States. They talked about migrant workers. Now, a lot of people back then and still now, they come from Mexico up to the United States because a lot of people think that we have a better life in the United States. So they want to come up
We
here.
actually have a better life.
They want to come up here to make. They want to come up here to make more money, and they want better jobs because if they're down where Mexico is, some places and some parts, people don't have very good lives there. So they want to come to the United States. So they have all these migrant workers that are coming,
Do they have cars?
and they're working long hours, and they don't get a lot of money here. They still don't get a lot of money here. But they bend over all day doing the crops, and their backs hurt, their fingers bleed, and if they complain, what happens to them?
They get fired.
They get fired, and then they have to go find another job, or maybe they have to go back to where they came from. So these people are working super hard, but they're not making a lot of money. Okay? All right, Wyatt, do you want to read or did you have a question?
There's two things. So the first thing is, can I read the lifetime?
Oh, you want to read the
Oh,
timeline? I mean the timeline?
The other thing is, you know how like how they're talking about like slaves and stuff?
Yeah.
I think that the owners of the slaves, they're just being lazy.
A little bit. I would agree.
Kind of are.
Okay, Wyatt, can you do this in a minute? We're going to do the timeline last, okay? Because I want to finish reading about his life, and then we'll go to the timeline, okay? Okay, all right, now we're going to learn how he changed lives. Carson, no, thank you. How is he going to change lives? Ellie, would you start up here with Cesar?
Cesar knew the
Migrant,
were not
treated,
fairly, so he decided to take action. He told the migrant
migrant.
workers he had a plan.
So he has a plan. They're not treated fairly, so he's got a plan. Kind of like Martin Luther King Jr. They're not being treated fairly, but he's got a plan. Okay, this is kind of a big paragraph, so I'm going to break this into two pieces, parts. Brooklyn, would you start with it was time?
It was time for small groups,
Grapes.
grapes to be harvested or picked.
Cesar.
Cesar told the workers to stop working. This was called a strike.
Okay, stop there. So, over in California, they do a lot of grapes. They grow a lot of grapes over there. And Cesar told the workers, the migrant workers, to stop working. What is that called when somebody says stop? Just like the bus boycott. What is that called, Raylan?
Strike.
A strike, or another name is a boycott. So they're kind of like boycotting, they're striking. They're saying, we're not going to work anymore. So what's going to happen to the farmers?
They're not going to have any food.
Yeah, well the farmers
And
won't,
they're not going to have any money.
yeah, they won't have any crops to pick, and then they won't have any money.
The farmers will have to do their own stuff for once.
Yeah, the farmers are going to have to do their own work.
lazy.
Exactly.
They're just-
He's not lazy. He lives on a farm and he has so many
Okay.
animals. He has to
Okay.
get by like.
All right, let's keep going. John, continue with the grapes. After the word strike, the grapes.
Does he know what he?
Then
No, because he's not following along.
The grapes and to
Grapes began to rot. Rot.
with no grapes to sell no the
Landowners.
orders lost money families
Finally
finally the owners talked to
Cesar.
Cesar. Then
They promised better pay.
better pay after the workers then picking the crop along.
Okay, so they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They stopped working. All those grapes began to rot. And so they got old and spoiled, and then they couldn't use them. So
that'll be a totally waste.
it would be a waste. So the farmers agreed. They talked with Cesar, and they agreed that they would promise to pay them better. And then after that, the workers began picking crops again. Okay? Question, Wyatt?
The word strike reminds me of a SpongeBob episode when Squidward and SpongeBob go on strike because I think
Oh.
Mr. Krabs is not paying them.
Oh. So that's a good example. So exactly, that's they're striking, right?
Mr. Krabs is gold digger.
Yeah, so they went on strike just like these guys did, right?
He really
Good
is.
example.
Krabs only wants money. That's all he wants.
He loves money.
He's the money.
He's greedy, huh?
He's money mansion.
Yeah, he's being rude and he wants all the money. He hardly wants anyone else.
Well, that's kind of like how the farmers work, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to do any work. They just want the migrant workers to do the work for them, and they don't want to pay them.
And then
He's greedy.
fish are reenacting the battle. It's kind of like the revolution.
Yeah.
And SpongeBob and Patrick start battling against each other, and then they run into, and then SpongeBob is running from Patrick because Patrick has a nose and he's trying to dig boogies.
I know that.
And then as SpongeBob's running by, Mr. Krabs is like, Mr. Krabs, run! Patrick's digging for gold.
Okay.
Gold. And then Squidward's like, did you get any of Patrick's gold?
Oh my goodness.
That.
Okay, all right, we gotta get on to the last paragraph. Carla, would you read the last one about Cesar Chavez? Really loud, Carla, because you have a quiet voice, but you're a good reader, so really loud.
Cesar Chavez worked for the
Rest
his life. He
to improve
improved farm workers'
lives.
Would
Would you?
you agree that he is a hero?
Would you guys agree? Is he a hero?
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree too. Okay, now, one thing about biographies, eyes up here. One thing about biographies is biographies a lot of time have what we call a timeline. This timeline tells us the life of Cesar Chavez from the day he was born, a lot of times to the day that they die.
Well,
So I'm going to have why it starts. You can see 1920 is the first year. Then there's 1930. Everybody point to 1930 on your book. Okay, so 10 years later, let's see what happens. Wyatt, would you read that?
1927. Caesar is born on March 21st, 1937.
Okay, so just a second, 1 second. So let's just figure out, guys, in 1927, that was, if I look at my board, his birthday would have been on Sunday, the twins' birthday, right?
Wait,
So
what?
he has the same birthday as the twins. Now, he was born in 1927. It's 2021. So this year, if he was still alive, he could be, he would have been 94 years old. Okay?
when did he die?
Because we'll have to find out. Okay, let's keep going. Wyatt, it's going to go up to 1937.
1937, Chavez family moves to California.
Okay? So 10 years later, remember when he was 10, they moved to California. Then let's go to the next one.
1942, Caesar finished 8th grade, begins full-time farm work.
Okay, so he only went up to 8th grade. He didn't go to 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, or college. Okay, keep going, Wyatt.
1962, started National Farm Workers
Association. So he starts this group for national farmers. Okay, Wyatt, go to the next year.
1965, he convinces workers to have a strike.
Okay.
1991, Caesar gives speeches about treating workers fairly.
Okay.
1993, Caesar helps farm workers until he dies on April 23rd. 1994, he wins the U.S. Medal of Freedom.
Good. So even after he's died, they still give him a year later, or a year later.
He died on that.
He gives they give him a Medal of Freedom because he has helped give those migrant workers some freedom. Now, when he died, you guys were wondering, he was 66 years old. So, Libby, how old was he, Libby? Brooklyn, how old was he? 20. Please be listening and not talking. That is disrespectful. Second graders, how old was he?
66!
Thank you. So he was 66 years old. So he wasn't too old when he died. So he could have, like I said, his birthday this year, he would have been how old?
94.
94.
Yeah, 94.
94. Okay, Carson, question?
When did you say he died at?
23rd.
Oh, I thought you said 2 days after.
Okay, Lila.
Is April already?
No, it's March. It's almost April.
Is this him being kind of older?
Yep, this is a picture of him.
And then is that his girl or something?
It looks like it could be his daughter. I'm not sure, but it does look like it's probably
Why are
his
they
daughter.
holding flags?
Well, they're probably flags for their country, or they're even like maybe
Will
for.
it be Faye?
It could be for Lila. He started the National Farmers Workers Association, and maybe that's the flag for that association. Which is kind of, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Or it could be the strike flags if they're going on strike. Okay, Corla, last thing.